in each one of our therapy rooms, we have this pillow. It's called if you've heard of the feeling circle, and it just has all these beautiful and horrible words, depending on where you're coming from, right? That gives you ideas, like if it's anger, and then there's all these different words. I don't know if you knew this, but there's multiple ways to describe anger. It's not just anger, right? Frustrated, aggravated, all those, right? So it's almost like a pie, and it has all these. So this is kind of like that, and so soul words are just different ways, and to begin to explore that it's not just if you're like me. There was like four words that could capture everything. When you say upset, I mean, that's a great umbrella word, right? So if somebody says, I'm just upset, and always when I hear that, I'm like, I have no idea what that means, right? Because it's usually it's not a horrible word, but it doesn't get us to what we're actually experiencing. And so what the soul words, in essence, are doing, and again, this is not just for, I think this is just relationships across the board. Obviously, there is this focus and where we're going to be seeing. We're going to see a demonstration here in a minute. And it's going to be a married couple kind of walking in the authors of this, and they're going to be walking through this. We're going to see how this works. But soul words, we find two categories, which are the bold words, and then we find three words that usually describe it, right? So sometimes this is really, all the time, this is really helpful. Whenever sometimes we're like, how do you feel about it? And for, again, some of us, we go, I don't know, or bad, right? Or whatever our word is. And this gives us an opportunity to kind of explore different options, right? Again, doesn't always mean something negative. But usually when we're going through a conflict or a difference, we are going to be experiencing something a little bit negative. It means when we're there, we're actually identifying it. Then we can get to actually the resolution part, right? That's also one of the number one issues is like we can have conflict pretty well. We can identify our differences. We can identify that I don't want to have conflict, and we feel a little better, and then we go on, right? And that not only happens in marriage, that happens in conflict with family, that happens in sometimes conflict in churches, right? We kind of voice it, we kind of get to this point, but we don't actually have a resolution, meaning that truly walking through that and being heard on both sides, and then being able to say, and then that level 3 that we've talked about, what can we do about it now, right? And so the other part of this is the comfort circle. You want to talk about, you want me to?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. The comfort circle is 12 questions that really try to keep you focused on a topic. Again, one of the difficulties in any situation, any scenario, is that sometimes we bring up one thing and it activates another thing. And then, that whole keep no record of wrongs, we tend to forget that temporarily. When I just want to share with you the other ways in which you've done wrong. It's not keeping record of wrongs, it's just you've done wrong. We try to separate it out, and we try to not necessarily call it that. So we have difficulty with that, so it keeps the main thing, and as you roll through, as we'll see, and we're going to stop this video and kind of process it with what you guys are seeing. Again, we love that interaction, so keep notes, or we'd love to hear what you guys are seeing on this. But the idea is to walk through all 12 questions, and the idea is, and this is called a comfort circle, but you guess what it really is not? Comfortable. Right? And they said that in the book, they said it on the videos. We went through the series that they provided. They said it's absolutely not comfortable when you first start out. Right? I think of it as working out, which that's pretty limited. But when I go to work out, I mean, the next day, right? So I go to the gym, then I look at all these machines, and I'm like, man, people are doing that really good, right? But man, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, or like, which muscle is the weakest, all of them. And so I don't know where to start, and I feel a little overwhelmed. And sometimes we do that with emotions, right? We know it's a good thing, we know, but then when I walk in that room of emotions, we're like, whew, where do I start? And this really gives us a vehicle to get there and practice and practice and practice. Then we find that we get a healthy system going, like when I go into the gym and I have my workout, right? If somebody tells me, or an app tells me, hey, do these exercises, got it. And I'm still sore the next day, right? I've still worked. And so when somebody kind of begins this process and helps me out, man, that's really helpful. So that's what we're hoping that this is for you. Is, again, I don't think this matters how long we've been doing life, how long we've been doing relationships. This has been impactful. And we've done this at church, and we have some of our older members. They've been married. One couple, they were married 72 years, and they took it, and they're like, this is like awesome. And of course, my assumption was at 72 years of marriage, I mean, I think you're perfect or close, but they were just like, man, this has helped us. Now we're talking about these emotions, and I was just like, thank you, because obviously, I mean, I think he was 94, she was 93, and they were still learning. And so I continue to go into these types of things, knowing that this is a vehicle for us to learn if we're willing, right? And so that is called a comfort, not so comfortable circle.
Okay, so they're going to, when we start the video, they will have gone through like training to be able to know what they're going to see. So we're just going to kind of walk through just briefly, like maybe some of the things to be on the lookout for. So one person is going to be, they're going to call somebody up from the audience, okay? One person will be holding this that is the comfort circle, and the other person is going to be holding the soul words.
So it's almost like a speaker-listener activity that you've probably heard about forever. And so it feels a little bit like that, but it's totally different.
Yeah.
Right.
So as the one that's talking, I'm going to stay with the script, okay? So it's kind of like when you first learn how to do anything. You learn how to play soccer, you learn how to swim. You're not freestyling because you don't have the skill set yet. You're just doing exactly what they say to do, and that's kind of the same way this is. You're going to start just by following the script. We're not going to go rogue or anything. We're going to follow exactly. And so this first thing that when she comes on, she and her husband come on, they're going to say, share one thing that is stressing you. And you're literally going to read it. Share with me one thing that's stressing you, concerns you, or is upsetting to you. Okay? You notice that I have a pen in my hand. And so Shaun would say one thing, and they're looking for like a small thing, okay? We're not going to start with a huge thing. You're just looking for a small thing. I'm not reacting or not responding to it. I'm just writing down, okay. And then I'll go to next, use the soul words list. Tell me the top 3 feelings you have about the circumstance, and try to use more than one category on the soul words list. So he's going to look at his soul words list, and he's going to tell me that, and I'm going to write it down. That's what you're going to see, okay? And you literally go through this. So this is almost like, these are great training wheels, right? You don't leave this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
I think we're ready.
And I just want to say, we got the. I was afraid that this was not going to work, and we had a little victory. So I want to say it's awesome.
The listener and be the one asking the questions. And Mallory's going to be the speaker, and she has a list of soul words on page 20. Say, we're giving you cheat sheets here that you have in your notebook so that you can do this at home. But we're going to have you watch it first. Okay, so even though in the book your first question is, tell me something that's stressing you or causing you to have feelings, we're going to just change that first question only to Mallory. What bugs you the most about me?
Mallory.
Well, first of all, let's just see if you can hear. Why don't you say hi to the crowd and say, I'm nervous.
Can you guys hear me, or are we good? Are we good?
Can you hear it back there in the corners?
Hi, back in the corner.
Let's come up.
They say go up. Up. Are we good? More. Good?
How about the microphone?
Oh. Yeah, you can look that way. Shiny, move this up a little. Oops. How are we doing now?
Hello, can you hear me? And second,
I'm going to fast forward some of this.
Talk a little louder. My name's Valerie and I'm nervous.
my name is Mallory and I'm nervous.
Is that right?
Good, he hears me.
Are we good? Okay, we're going to try and do it without the ringing, but we'll do our best. This is a little hard with 3 mics right here. Okay, so you're going to ask Mallory, so Mallory, what bugs you the most about me?
So Mallory, what bugs you the most about me?
Do I use these words or no?
No, not yet.
No,
Just answer that
just
question.
answer the question. Okay. What bugs me the most is when you need space and I don't want you to have space because I want you with me.
Is this my mic doing the ringing? Okay, all right. Can you hear Mallory?
Yeah.
All right, okay, great. So, repeat back what you heard.
So what bugs you the most about me is when I need space and you don't want me to have space because you want me to be with you.
Yes.
Okay, go to question 2.
Identify feelings. Use the list of soul words and tell me the top 3 feelings you have about this circumstance, and try to use more than one category on the soul words list. So top 3 feelings,
Okay.
multiple categories.
So when you come home, let's say that, and I want to hang out with you because we haven't spent time together yet, and you want space, I feel alone, like you don't want to spend time with me.
Okay, that's not a feeling. Pick a feeling.
But
Alone is a feeling, yeah.
okay. So I don't explain the feeling, or
You can if you want to, that's fine. Oh, because you don't. I see you're explaining it. I've got it. Okay.
Okay.
Alone. Pick 2 more.
And I feel anxious that we won't get time together because you'll continue to not spend time with me. And disappointed because it makes me feel like you don't want to hang out with me.
Okay, check back for clarity and see if you got it.
So when I come home and want space, you feel alone, you feel anxious because we might not get time together for the whole day, and you feel disappointed because I might not want to hang out with you.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Go to the next question.
Rate feelings. Rate the intensity of each feeling from 1 to 10. 1 being low, 10 being.
All right, just to push pause, and this is right there. I think right there, that is a difference in how we normally have a conversation, right? I mean, that inserted those parts, because we tend to say, we use words and then the behavior that we don't want. You, and then I think we talked about always or never, do this, and then that's our feeling words. It's not even close to our feeling words, right? It's almost justifying how we feel by your behavior. And so we have to step away from that. And so that right there, again, is that step into that into me see, right? So just to keep this view going.
Hi.
And each of the soul words.
Feelings you just picked. Yeah.
May do the
So ask her, give her the first soul word and ask her to rate that one.
So your feeling of alone on a scale of 1 to 10.
Well, it depends on how many days you responded that way to me when you first came home. So let's say it's
Not the first day.
okay, not the first day. This happened. Hello? Okay. Okay, let's say it's been a long week and it's Friday. Alone from 1 to 10 would probably be 8. Anxious would be probably a 7 or 8. and disappointed, I don't know, 7.
Okay, now we have some idea of how intense the feelings are, because we don't know until we ask that. Okay, very good. Go to the next question.
Physical reactions. How do you experience these feelings in your body? Try to describe places of pressure, tension, pain, and tightness. When experiencing these feelings, is your breathing deep, shallow, fast, or slow?
Shallow. My breathing would be shallow. And I would feel tension in my shoulders and my gut, maybe.
That's good. Okay, it's good awareness. Not everyone's going to be able to answer that question, but we want to begin to understand that our feelings are linked to our body, and many times they appear first in our body before they really get to what you're feeling. So those were good insights. Can you hear her? Great. Okay. So say that back. Make sure you got it. And go to the next question.
So those feelings of aloneness, anxiety, and disappointments, you feel them in your shoulders, tension in your shoulders and in your gut, and your breathing becomes shallow.
Yeah, hey, he's a good listener, isn't he? Yeah. You know why? Because he's writing it down. And it's like, I want to really encourage you to do that at home. It slows the whole thing down, and it makes you have to listen instead of planning your defense. Okay, excellent. Go to the next question.
Behaviors and actions. What did you do, behaviors/reactions, because of these feelings? How did you express the emotions, or what actions did you take?
Okay, so, okay, on a Friday, long week, I would try to do something that takes my mind off of it. Maybe the dishes, or start organizing something in our house that doesn't need organizing. Throw things away. And pretend that I'm not upset about it, while getting more upset about it because more time is going by, that nothing is happening or changing. And every time I cross paths with you, I would be more upset because I'm waiting for you, and which is so obvious.
How would you make that obvious?
Well, I would be obviously upset, you know. And maybe I've a few times I'll say, like, when do you want to hang out? Are you maybe like 20 minutes, or are you like just really tired and you like an hour, or you know? So then I'm trying to set up my expectations properly, but sometimes I don't do that. I don't vocalize it, but and then he'll say, maybe one day you'll say like 10 minutes, or I don't know how much time I need, and then I feel like, what if it doesn't happen in 10 minutes? Or what if it never happens? And then there's that anxiety that builds.
Okay, there's the building anxiety. Okay, say back what you heard.
So when I get home and we're not spending time together, ways that you cope with it are to get busy, hide your feelings. As you hide the feelings, they continue to grow. Or you might ask the question, when do you want to hang out? And then you might think, we're never going to hang out, or it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we seeing? What are you guys picking up? What do you think is good? What do you think is weird? Do what?
That woman needs a light.
Yeah.
I don't know, she might be pregnant. That could,
That's
yeah, she's a very emotional.
okay.
Young, very young.
She looks young.
All of us in here are old.
What else are we seeing? I love it.
She's not communicating.
She's not communicating.
She's not telling him until now that it bothers her that he doesn't want to spend time with her when he gets home.
It was.
It seems like he knows that.
Like even when she said,
Yeah.
I obviously am like,
He's like, how
Do-
are you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So see how they started to kind of get off script a little bit, but then because they have this, then it's like, then they come back around and
Yeah.
then they get off. I can imagine for this couple, they probably get off script and then they just, he's like, no, I wasn't, right? And they just keep going down that road. And so without this script, they don't have the chance to come back around and keep going.
Yeah. Because the typical, right, when she says, well, obviously I'm upset. So underneath, what did she just tell him? What was it?
You're not paying attention.
You're not paying attention. Yeah, you're kind of dumb because you're not picking up on something that's obvious. Obviously, she didn't say that, but maybe that's what he interpreted. And then if he feels that, like you just said, yeah, you're not picking up on, what I'm putting down or whatever they say now. And then he's going to respond with what?
A defense.
Defensive, shut down, right? Those typical things.
But because of the script, he can't do that, right? So it bypasses the thing that usually gets them off track.
Yep.
Does the script keep, like, almost validate her feelings? Like, if he hears it, he's writing it down, maybe she feels heard more than others, I would think.
Yeah, because he's not solving the
Absolutely.
problem,
Right, he's not.
right? He's just saying, I heard you. Because she alludes to it, she was like, she's talking about like the conversations that are going, like where you're building the rebuttal. And so he can't do that because he's writing things down. And even if he's writing them down and he's thinking like, hello, I didn't even notice that, he can't say it because he's supposed to stick with the script. So all of a sudden they're trying out a new way to navigate conflict. Yeah.
Great.
This whole thing occurring on step 2?
Of the step 1, 2, and 3?
At this point, because like that body's question, like where do you feel in your body? That's step 1. It's like just like I'm having the feeling, and then verbalizing it. That's the step
Right.
2.
And I think we're actually, and this leads to step 3, right? I mean, that's where 11 and 12, questions 11 and 12 come in, is actually, okay, what are we going to do about it? So yeah, this whole process involves all 3 steps, right? And so that acknowledgement of step 2, I mean, that's what this is about. The easy, I say the easy thing, typically if she were to say, I'm lonely, he could try to fix it and just go, okay, fine, I'll just spend time, right? And that's a first order change where it comes in and now she's like, well, I don't want to like force you. I want you to want to hang out with me, right? And then we get into that whole rotation. So this keeps it pure, right? And it takes away some of those tendencies that we naturally, and it's because we love, right? It's not because we want to respond in dysfunction. We want to respond in care and love, but maybe we haven't figured out exactly the perfect tool or a really good tool for my spouse or for my family, whoever I'm talking to, right?
I think it's important to note too, these people aren't actors. So the Yurkoviches they go and they do conferences, right? And they just offered like, who would like to try it out from the audience? So this is all real, right?
She's having to be really vulnerable right
Yeah.
now. in front of
She's,
that
yeah,
crowd. That's what I was wondering too.
it's real.
People's there and
Yeah. We
So-
were actually going to try to invite somebody from here, but we're like,
So at our,
we want to put you guys,
at our home church, that's what we do, is we just say like, and we tell them ahead of time like, hey, would you like to be, and we just give them a gift certificate. There's a little, and then we do that, and they come up, and it's interesting how they're not expecting to do that. They're not expecting to feel emotional about it, and by the end, they're crying or it gets really powerful as you get further and further into the questions.
Yeah.
So.
Good.
But we didn't know y'all well enough to do that.
Do you think that they're struggling because it's their first time that they're doing this, or because they're trying to remember something that's happened maybe not yesterday?
Why do you think they're struggling? Why do you think that they're being cautious about words? What would you think?
Because you're not just doing it one-on-one, you're doing it in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yep.
It makes a difference.
And it may be the first time that you verbalize some of this stuff, so you're really taking a risk. Yeah.
In front of people.
Would I also say how many Hershey is trying to recall how I felt or how it physically affected me would be kind of difficult under the circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of what I was getting at, Kyle. Do you think that she's trying to remember what happened?
That could be too.
Easier if it was like actively happening. If you kind of take this tool and you do it as it's happening, or do you still expect us to feel like this when we do it the first time because it's totally new?
I think this is going to be just uncomfortable, and it's not going to be normal language. But I think to your point, I mean, my interpretation of this is it's not the first time that she's felt like this. And so if they pick something that's pretty common, which I don't know how common, but I would assume that she feels this often. And I think that was a little bit easier for her, but sometimes it's going to be more difficult. Like, I don't remember that. And so I think there's a little grace in that as well, is because sometimes if we're not aware of it, I think, maybe to one of the points is, like, I don't remember where I felt it in my body, right? But then maybe when we experience that and we have the language, then we're more aware of it. And I think that's half the battle, is like getting the tools and actually using the tools. So, yeah, great. Any other comments or questions?
Okay, great. On to the next one.
We're down to 8 now.
Yeah.
Childhood feelings. Did you experience this feeling or these feelings as a child? What happened? How old were you?
Well, yes. My mom often worked a lot, and she was a single mom. And my sister was always very busy because she was very diligent in her schoolwork, especially in high school. So I would go to hang out with her, and she'd be busy working on things or hanging out with her friends or talking on the phone. And I didn't know how to express my feelings back then at all. And so I felt like I was constantly being rejected because they were busy.
Ask her what would happen when her mom came home from work.
What would happen when your mom came home from work?
It was different times. Some days she was really tired. Some days she would be irritable. When I would get in trouble when she got home, I wouldn't really know why. But other times she'd come home happy.
What would be the percentage of those?
He just thought up his own question, which I love. That's what you want to do. That tells me that he's getting into this role really well. Go ahead and ask that.
So you said she would come home sometimes tired, sometimes grumpy, sometimes you'd be in trouble, and then sometimes she'd be happy. So I was wondering kind of what was the percentage of those different emotions?
Well, I don't know reality, but how it felt was more often than not, maybe 60% would be tired. It felt like probably 30% was irritable. and then the rest would be divided by the rest. 10% would be happy, or I guess in trouble would probably fit into either one of those categories, because when she's tired or irritable, I would get in trouble.
Okay, do you see how much more information you got from that question? It kind of sounded like, oh, maybe 50-50, but no, only 10% of the time was she really available and happy. Most of the time it was irritable, or you were in trouble, or not connecting with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent.
So now the feedback part.
Yeah.
So, as a child, you felt the same feelings of people not having time with you. This came when your sister was busy with schoolwork or had friends she wanted to hang out with. But also when your mom came home from work, and oftentimes she would feel tired, oftentimes grumpy, but then there were some times when she was happy and available, but that wasn't the norm.
Okay, now go back up to the feelings at the top and ask her which one of those does she think she felt the most as a kid?
Which?
The 3 feelings she picked.
Okay, so how often as a kid did you feel alone, anxious, or disappointed?
Like as a percentage?
Or just give them a ballpark of how much do those feelings fit into the experience of your sister being busy and your mom being tired and irritable.
I felt those things every time.
Okay, so every day, really?
Yeah. Well, and every day that they didn't have time for me.
Which was 10%?
Which was often.
8%.
Yeah, at least it felt often.
Okay, so just for a minute here now, I want you to see her, Valerie, as a little girl. And, you know, we're talking from, what, first grade, kindergarten, all the way up through high school. She's having this experience repeatedly of hoping someone's going to spend time with her, and hoping that someone's going to see her, and hoping that someone's face is going to light up because there she is. And does anybody's face light up?
Only 10% of the time.
Right. So 90% of the time, she's left feeling alone and anxious and disappointed. Okay, so what do you see right now in her face?
Sadness.
Okay, so when you see a feeling, just touch and say what you see. So reach out and touch her and just say what you see. I
can see that you're sad because growing up, your mom and sister weren't emotionally available for you.
Right, what do I say?
You don't have to say anything. Your tears say it all, Valerie. You don't have to say anything. It's like your tears speak for themselves. But unless you see the little girl inside her, you're not going to understand why her feelings are 8, 9, and 10 are so high. There's a little girl in there. Yes, you can. Okay. This is what I love, is the lock gaze. This is connection. This is what a mom and a baby do when they really see each other. And I really can see you really looking into her eyes and seeing Valerie. I really like that. Okay, I hate to break the moment because I think you could stay right here for a while if you were in my office, but you're not. So go to the next question. Okay.
All right. Can we talk about what, just real quick, getting away from this, but what kind of things were we feeling when we were watching this?
Sympathy.
Sympathy.
Or empathy.
Empathy.
Sorry.
What else? Realization about what's going on, what she's feeling. Yeah, great. Connection. Mm-hmm. It's been there for a while.
not normal for normal couples to go through because of all the things we have to do, busy schedules, but I think it is so important to have this type of dialogue because it goes deeper within a relationship to bring out what's really important to fix. So.
So if you think about the last conflict that you had with your spouse, if you would have had something like this, and you could say, hey, well, right now I'm feeling really hot, so I'm not ready to do this yet, but could we come back in 30 minutes and sit down and have this? And you guys sat like that. How would that have changed the outcome for your interaction? So you're right. It's not typical, but it is definitely productive. So it's something that if families can start to take the time to do this together, how much different outcomes we could have. Think about if you sat down and did this with your spouse, if you sat down and did this with your child, what a difference that might make. When you really spend, this is going to take it takes about 30 minutes to walk through one of these, so you have to set aside 30 minutes. And what we tell couples when they come in to counseling, when they get to the point that they can do something like this, is that you should do this once a week.
Yeah.
Can you imagine sitting down once a week and having that kind of time with each other?
I'm married to a psychologist, so we do.
You're like, yes.
You're like, I've been there.
This is dope for me. I'm usually on the couch.
So because of that, all those things get filtered out. But just imagine, you don't know what you don't know, right? So if it's something that's completely new language for you, this could be a game changer, right? If you could sit down and actually have this kind of conversation between you and your spouse.
And I want to know, how long do our arguments usually last?
Well, that just depends.
And that depends, right? So, I mean, maybe 30 minutes? Maybe longer than 30 minutes?
No.
Well, the aftermath
I'm
may last
thinking
2 or
5
3
or
days.
10.
5 or 10 what?
Yeah, I lose the argument, it's over with.
Oh, it's
You
fast.
know. No, as you get older, I would say it takes shorter.
Yeah.
Because like this little young couple here, they have a lot of issues they need to work through. By the time you're our age, yeah, you've got most of those resolved, one way or the other.
Okay.
But then there's that couple that's been married 70-something years, and they're still benefiting from this, so I'm having to think twice. But
Well, I mean, just like part of the language, right? So, I mean, sometimes we find that we're not connecting, like we get to a good place, but are we truly experiencing the depth in which we can go, right? I think those are different because Emily and I know all these tools, but I mean, we continue to seek for that intimacy, and sometimes it's a journey where then all of a sudden I experience something, and then I feel something totally new, right? That's that each stage of marriage opens up a new door of what we experience and what we feel, and so that's then all of a sudden I have to explore that again or that different, and so I mean, the big things don't seem as big, right? So you begin to resolve that, but sometimes that depth can most definitely be deeper. Yes, sir.
Just another perspective. I know Todd's probably going to roll his eyes at me about this. And I agree that these kind of exchanges can bring up feelings and empathy and so forth and get kind of the deeper issues. But pragmatically, in terms of solving the problem, the overt behaviors, she wants attention when he comes home. He says, I need space. And I'm thinking, well, is there something she could do to make it herself more interesting, that he would want to engage with her? Does he say, oh, what'd you do all day? Nothing. How was work? Fine. Maybe he can be explaining, well, look, I've had an intense day. I'm talking all day long, and I need to decompress. I need a few minutes or whatever, which, and I understand going through, there's a lot of layers and unpacking. So, and it's a very, as we can see, it's a very tedious problem. It takes a lot.
It does.
It's draining to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and it requires a lot of emotional investment to do it. And I think it'd be therapeutic. But at what point, can you kind of cut to the chase and say, okay, what can we do? What can I do to change myself and what can you know.
So that's when you do this.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then that's when you switch, right? Because you're right, it's not just about that. This is like one little piece of working on it. So he's trying to understand her, and then you switch, and it's like, now I'm going to try and understand you. So that's where those things intersect. That's where the intersection happens. So it's like, yeah, it's tedious. I mean, it is a good solid 30 minutes to do, but when you feel like, hey, we are stuck, and it doesn't have to be like that you're in a crisis. It can just be like a stuck feeling, like we're used to solving problems really quickly. We're used to, yeah, but what about that like deep connection? What if that's not part of your intimacy patterns? So you switch then, and you switch, and you keep switching back and forth week after week, and then eventually there's more understanding in the relationship. But I'll agree with you. It's tedious, but it does produce
And part
results.
of it is, at the end of the day, I mean, what can we do a little bit different to engage and to honor those? Because, I mean, there are some of us that, you know, if we went to the introvert, extrovert type thing, if somebody's more of an introvert, man, and they're around people all day long, it just feels like the tank is empty. But I think to the point is like, is over communicating that. And what I think a lot of times we under communicate those things. And so I think part of it is tagging, each one of us is different. So that you're not going to get this piece of paper and go, great marriage now, right? But it really is working and maneuvering this to work for your relationship, right? And who you are, right? And in changing some of the questions that are good for you, right? And so this isn't a solve all. This is a process to begin to really like cut those layers away. And so you might be at a place where this is needed and it's going to go a little bit faster. Some of us are in a place where this needs to be a longer conversation. And so I think that's where you tag, where are we, in this process. And so, yeah, great.
Yeah, we've been really harsh for her, but like I think he's only been like, I need space when I get home. I need to decompress, and not really care at all about what his wife needs. So I think it hit him like a ton of bricks when he like heard what she was saying.
Yeah.
And that he's been like perpetuating something that she's dealt with her whole life.
Yeah.
And I think that empathy piece was huge. Yeah.
Interpreting it in a younger couple.
Yeah.
Some of the phraseology, it seemed to me like he's coming home and he's gaming, or whatever, he's on his computer or gaming, and so her phrases are like, well, how long will that last? How long do you need to decompress? So there's a modern component here that some of us weren't exposed to.
Yeah.
But maybe our kids come home and that's what they do. They game, and then they have time. But what if he gets caught up in that game all evening? She's just there waiting because she's not a gamer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how I was interpreting it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
So, number 11, bringing feelings and needs into relationships. Can you summarize by making a clear statement about your feelings along with a request for help? So you would say, I feel, fill in the blank, I need, fill in the blank.
That's in that moment.
All right, when I feel.
When I feel,
When I feel, fill in the blank, I need, fill in the blank.
So these feelings?
yeah, when I feel alone and disappointed and
Okay. When I feel alone and disappointed and anxious, I need physical affection and attention or affirmation.
So when you feel alone, anxious, or disappointed, you need physical affirmation physical affection, affirmation, and attention.
Okay, and that's gonna be a whole lot easier for you if you see the little girl in her, instead of the pestery wife. I don't know if she feels like she's pestering to you, but it's like, I'm curious how often you really see her for what she needs, or is she good at hiding?
It's like 50-50, and a lot of times, like, I know it, but she'll, like, go, she's like, keep herself busy. So when she goes and does something, like reads a book, then I think, oh, she wants her space and I want my space, this is good. But then she comes back, and she's like, I gave you so much space. And I was like, well, you read your book. She was like, I was giving you space. So when I see her giving me space, it doesn't calculate as, oh, she really wants to be with me. It calculates as, oh, she's doing her thing and I'm doing my thing. So
I'm gonna guess, Mallory, that maybe you're even a little frightened to really stay too much because you got in trouble a lot as a kid for having these feelings. And so if you're too consistent, are you afraid of getting in trouble?
It's probably close to that. Maybe more like afraid of rejection, more rejection.
Okay. So I'm sure that's probably how you handled it as a kid. You tried to be as good as you could because you didn't want to cause more rejection, and you were going to be in trouble anyway.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that's why she sort of hides it. But now you have a whole new insight. She sounds like one of her stress responses is to clean, distract herself, get busy, and that doesn't mean she's okay. That means she's not okay. And that she's trying to get herself to be okay. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be with her every second of every day or spend every moment. You know, I come home from work, are you an introvert or an extrovert?
introvert.
Okay, so introverts need some downtime to refuel, but there has to be a compromise between refueling and then being together. So, you want to add anything to that, Mr. Mylan?
I would add, oftentimes she's very good at communicating that she does want and need affection. So I would say it's actually the majority, like the minority of the time when she's busying herself, but she's usually very good at communicating, like, I want your attention, you know, when you get home. So.
Okay, that's good, because
What's up with this microphone?
I don't know, maybe I'm not speaking my.
Is this microphone working okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Were you a latchkey kid?
Left at home alone?
You know, where you had to come home from school to an empty house?
Yes.
How did I guess?
Yeah.
It's not, well, stop and think about it. You know, you've got a sweet single mom that's working her head off, a busy sister, and I would figure if she's older that you might have to come home by yourself. So she came home to an empty house. When she got married, do you think she wanted to come home to an empty, lonely house? So look what word I wrote next to your name. Introvert. See, he comes home, he's depleted himself, like I said last night, his iPhone battery's dead. And he needs to recharge it, but then it goes long, right? And then, how many compulsive cleaners do we have out there in the crowd? Raise your hands, come on. Raise your hands, come on, fess up. We're gonna start a cleaning business here. It's gonna be Southland's cleaning service. I loved your insight. You said, I clean it, even if and organize it, even if it doesn't need it.
And move it from one place to the next.
And that's called compulsive behaviors, which is what we do when we're filled with angst. We don't know what to do with ourselves. I used to go clean the garage at 10 o'clock on Sunday night. Why would I go do that? I get you. And so my garage is a mess now. That's a sign of healthiness. For me. But you felt something very strongly for her. And so I'd like you to just tell her, and I want you to go all the way back up to the top where Kay started. So what bugs you most about me is
And then I want you to connect dots and reflect to her, oh my goodness, I see why this has such depth and pervasiveness inside of you. And try to tell her something that would be encouraging or affirming, okay? I know you can do this, by the way.
So, I mean, I was aware of a good bit of this already, but when you gave me the percentage of how often your mom or your sister didn't have time for you or you felt alone, that was really eye-opening for me. And it helped me to understand the importance of me, especially when I first get home, not just thinking about myself and what I need, but the affirmation that you need to help you understand that our family is different than your family of origin. And so I really want to try to prioritize, even if it's like a little bit of time, to help you understand that it won't be 90% of the time that I come home. Even if I'm tired, I don't need to push that right on you or grumpy or had a bad day. Like, I want you to know that you're accepted and loved. And I want our home to be a place of acceptance and love, not where you have to wonder if you're in trouble or if you're loved or not.
That was wonderful. I got a man crush going on right
now. There's like a certain level of awkwardness going on there. Like, where do we go next type thing. Internally, I'm feeling a little awkward or weird, and so I had to stop it and just process with you people, you know. Woo, okay, thank you. No, I mean, even in that, right? So, I mean, it's just good to kind of, what do we see? What did you see? I mean, we really like to do this just because, obviously, we just want to highlight the important things that we're seeing, right? Differences. And honestly, I mean, part of that is like, where do we feel, I mean, how do we feel when we're watching this, them feeling, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing. So what did you guys see, even in that little bit there? When he was,
really cares for her.
Man, he really, really does. Yeah.
She cares for him too.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Even though they're younger, but man, you can see that connection and that sweet care that they have for each other.
He said he was being selfish. I appreciated that he said that.
Yeah.
He became aware.
Yeah. And I think that's the being known piece, is because if we flipped it, I mean, my hope is that she saw him and had more empathy on him, right? I think that's the hope and the prayer, is that you're doing this constantly back and forth, right? That's, again, called into me see. And I think that's the process. Yeah. Okay. Maybe one or two more before we go on. Yes, sir.
I'm just going to say, I think when you really love someone to the point made, that allows you to be vulnerable.
Man, yeah. Yeah. When you truly like see this person as my person, and I'm really trying to love like Jesus loves me, that true definition of what love is, man, that makes a difference. Rather than the feeling, right? You know, it's interesting how our culture parts of our culture are pretty horrible. Meaning that, you know, they've actually, in some marriages and in some weddings, they've actually changed part of the vows. You know how part of the vows is as long as we both shall live. You know what some have changed it to? As long as we both shall love. Right? So as long as, I mean, and then of course we get to that, like, I just don't feel like we're in love anymore. Right? And then all of a sudden my vow that I had in my wedding is canceled. Right? And that's where we've altered and changed things. Right? And so that's when people come and say, we're not in love anymore. Now, you guys are beginning to know me a little bit internally. I'm very aware of who I'm sitting in front of, so I don't say this all the time. I also say, and? Because how many times do we, like C.S. Lewis in Mere Christianity, if you've read that one, on the marriage chapter, he kind of speaks to this a little bit. He says, that being in love thing is going to come and go, right? He said, but the difference between a covenant and a commitment, he kind of walks through that, which I love, and I use that sometimes in the wedding ceremonies that I do, is there's a difference between a covenant and a commitment, right? That covenant before God. And then, of course, that exchange of like, okay, so what does this actually mean? And then what this actually means is going to motivate me to have these type of conversations. Because if we were to be honest with ourselves, there's part of us that just is like ready to leave this place and go and watch some sports or something, right? Or we want to go do something else because maybe some of those feelings inside. Maybe that's just me. But to stay in the game, to be able to do a process like this, to slow down my own self and be able to get to know Emily better through this intimate type conversation does volumes for generations to come. It's interesting to think about like a conversation like this, and I'm talking about even with family, right? And now given that I don't know if I'm going to do the comfort circle with my brother, to be really honest. It will absolutely be awkward. But it depends on that relationship. But I might slow some things down and go, tell me, and I'll use some of these questions, right? So you can utilize this with all kinds of relationships. It's going to look a little different, but especially when it goes here, to practice this comfort circle that's uncomfortable now, to become comfortable would mean the world. It's all about seeing these small things. Okay, anything else?
No, you're good.
Are we going to get to see the reversal, the switch?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, it doesn't switch it. But are you curious?
Yeah, so I'm really invested in them right now.
Yeah.
And what I'm taking away from this, it's just a reminder for me that they're in a fishbowl right now.
Yeah, they are.
We're seeing everything she's saying, but my heart is kind of going out to him because I'm like, well, who knows? If she may not have a job, she may be a stay-at-home mom, but he's tired. He's worked all day, so I kind of feel bad for him. And
Yeah.
I want to, he does need some time to himself. So we're seeing different perspectives, and when we're in an argument or whatever, I'm seeing my perspective. I'm not seeing his perspective in the moment sometimes.
Yep. And did you?
I want to hear the other side.
Did you notice too how her husband Milan, that what kind of person do you think that Kay is? The wife that's doing this whole presentation, huh? She's probably pretty controlling, but the other big one for her that she talks about is she's an avoider. She's an avoider. So how do you think?
So I'd most definitely tag avoider and controller.
Yeah.
For sure.
How do you think that could you see his emotions get ignited when he was really pushing in hard for him to affirm her? Do you notice that? And he was like, I feel you. Like he was affirming her, giving her the things that.
Getting a man crush on the other.
Yeah.
A little on the weird side.
But thinking about like, okay, how do we get stuck in a place, and it takes somebody else to see like, hey, here's the patterns that are happening, and then that gets us unstuck, So.
I'll say not getting to see the reversal is
Yeah.
disappointing because I can see how his eyes are open to her.
Yeah.
Is she able to have her eyes open to him? That's
Yeah.
kind of the.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to come up with a compromise. Well, how do I give you the time you need, but how do you give me the time I need?
Yeah. Yeah. So see that you get this investment, right?
Yeah.
And you get these feelings. And I think I saw a few tears when she was talking about all of that, right? That's the piece that you start to get for your spouse. That's the investment level that we're looking for, is like, how can I start to feel that empathy for your story that maybe I don't know all the pieces to? And then when I hear it, I go, oh, okay, this really isn't about me saying this. This is about this wound that you had as a child. and now I feel really sorry for you. That's where you want to put your investment into that, where all of a sudden their story really matters to you, and you're like, I want to see how everything goes, how it can be different for us. Yeah.
He was taking it personally, but it wasn't.
Right.
Sometimes we take things personally when it's not about us at all. Where he didn't want to get away from her.
Right.
He just needed to be by himself because he'd been with other people all day. So
Yeah, and who knows what his story is.
Yeah.
You know, why is he an introvert?
he wasn't rejecting her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think part of the whole point is, and I feel that because every time we look at this, I really want to hear his voice as well, right? But I really wonder, and this is what I've seen in the counseling rooms, because I do this with couples all the time, and what I see whenever I see the flip side of this is there's a different level of compassion that comes across, and so being able to come up with a plan of how to walk beside each other in this, because the actual time, you know, for him to kind of get the day and download a little bit, right? When they have compassion for each other, it means something different, right? So they're identifying their own stuff, they're calling it out, it doesn't have a hold and power over me, and then I have compassion and empathy, and then we have a plan that can actually work, and we're stating the things that need to be stated, and we're walking through these things that need to be walked through together, right? So a lot of times what I've experienced on the flip side, seeing both, is compassion. And that compassion allows for us to have a plan that actually is really this 100-100, right? Not a 50-50, but I mean, we're really serving each other. We're trying to outserve each other, the whole Ephesians 5 thing, right? And that looks a little bit different for each one of us, but the compassion, we don't often have compassion by the time we get into arguments. And so I think that's a big thing that creates this for us to finish the loop in a healthy way.
Yeah, and this is public, like this is on YouTube, so there may be the next part of it.
Yeah.
But not today. Yeah.
Look at the tears in your wife's eyes. You really connected. Did he connect with you?
Yeah.
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 To be seen. That self-other ways. Does somebody see me? Do I fall on somebody's radar? Does somebody notice I exist? The ability to give life. I see life in you now. And that's good. And that was a wonderful reflection and affirmation to her. And what do you do for a living?
I actually work for her dad, and we do like a flooring company where we import tile from China and Turkey, and so a lot of my days going around to different customers or clients trying to sell tile.
Okay, so you were talking to people all day long. And when you come home, your talking meter is expired, isn't it? I understand.
It's a lot of like mental thinking and figuring stuff out too, so.
Is your battery depleted by the time you get home?
Oftentimes.
All right, so that's why we brought up the difference between the avoider and the introvert last night. Because that was Kate. She would come home and there would be not a lot left in the tank. And of course I would feel a lot like you did. And so what we learned was, and I love what you said, when I come home I want to make sure you're seen. And then one of the biggest mistakes introverts make is they come home, they check out, and they keep checking out. They stay checked out all night. And that's one of the common mistakes. So I love the idea that you said, I'm going to check in, maybe go fill my battery, and then check back in again. We're going to, so that you feel seen. And if you knew that you were on his mind, that would help, wouldn't it? Wow. So the other thing I want to comment on is, in your family of origin, you were constantly feeling rejected. You personalized their behavior as though it was personal toward you. And then every time she feels that with you, she personalizes it, like you don't want to be with, like you're not going to come back to me, like if I ask this, you're not going to remember. And so she's taking her entire childhood experience and laying it over you. picture frame she has around your head. He will probably forget me, and it's personal. He'll reject me. That's so personalized. He's going to reject me, as opposed to doesn't something different. That he's an introvert, needs to recharge his battery. So, but I just want you to know how personal she takes it.
Can I just add something to that?
Yes, you can add something to it.
So, for Mallory, in having a biological father who left, who she knew as a child but then was gone, and then an adopted dad who was there physically but emotionally distant, she has those hurdles as well. So the men in her life have a history of checking out either physically or checking out emotionally.
Do you want to switch from tile and come work in my office? We got a lot of floors to lay in my office. We got a lot of foundations to rebuild in my office. So, but what a fabulous insight. See, for you to get that and to let her know, I see how important all that is to you. And so the men in her life haven't been there for her one way or the other. And we would expect with a single mom, there's an abandonment theme from dad somehow. Somehow dad's lost in her life. So all of a sudden you loom large in terms of importance. All right, wow. I'm pumped. I love my job. See, I love this. Now let's switch, and you're going to ask him the questions. You're going to look at this page over here. Do you have a pen?
See at the next section we finish this up.
Yeah.
That's perfect timing. And you're going to...
All right, so we're just going to reflect for a moment. We are going to finish this. We're going to use part of next session to make sure that you're not just hanging out there, right? And so we're going to finish it up. I think we have 15 minutes or so left on it, so we'll finish that up. I'm going to take a quick break. But before that, you know, again, this is what Emily and I talk about a lot when we do marriage type things. Sometimes when we talk about emotions or we talk about these changes, it feels like, well, at least in therapy sometimes, the feeling is that men need to be more emotional, right? That's usually the message that is across the board. And then your marriage will be great. That's right. So that's not the solve all, right? And so we have to remember some of these, that it's not just about identifying emotions and then telling me, you know, what those emotions are. There's so many aspects of this, right? That when I lean in, that I see you, right? Aspect, that is an important way. I mean, for, you know, that in Ephesians 5, right, it talks about that love and respect. Those are vital. You know, again, that love part is not, hey, I feel like I love you. It's not a feeling. It is an action, right? That respect isn't just agreeing with what, you know, with what you're doing. It's seeing the core of the value of who you are and what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to love me, trying to love my family, right? All these things. That respect is very much of an emotional part. It's just not just check the box on either one. So this calling or this spiritual part of the marriage DNA is full of love, to know that you're taken care of, respected, to know that you are viewed with, man, thank you for stepping out there for me, right? The fix it often has a negative connotation. I want to switch that and say, you know, part of the reasons why I want to fix things for her is because I care so much for her, and I don't want her to feel those things. Now, the rotation in how I do that is vital, right? So I need to see her, and then I need to say, hey, how can I do this? So these built-in things that God has created in us, we just need to reveal these things, talk about them, and then like lean in. Because what I want to do, I want to be the knight that comes in and solves everything, right? Because I love her, not because I just want it to go away. Those are two big differences.
So my question would be, if I leaned into Holly with everything, I would never play golf. I would, well, I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying? At some point in a relationship, it has to be about compromises too.
Oh.
Right. Like,
the balance.
it's the balance. So it's when things get out of balance is the triggering of all these things. Somebody at some point's neglected.
Right.
Someone's feeling it, right? So there is some balance points.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we were thinking about him, right? It's like, look, he's getting smoked at work off. We don't know what she's doing.
Yeah.
Right? But if
Yeah.
that's happening, like at some point, like the book Men from Mars and Women from Venus, where the man's got to go in his cave and just refresh, and like that's reasonable to think. If he just, I don't know, like it will break.
Absolutely, and I think
Short-term,
that's
good
not.
after that, but
Yeah.
After a month, yeah, he's gonna be like, I'm tired today.
Yeah, and I don't think the point is to always like walk in the door, right? So I don't know whatever that, but I think the picture is we begin to have compassion towards each other, whatever that is. I love fishing. I mean, that's like my therapy, right? And so sometimes, and guess what Emily doesn't like? Fishing.
And you married her anyway.
And I married her anyways, right? Because we actually have a fantastic time on other things, right? But sometimes like she'll come in and say, "Hey, it's a beautiful day. Do you want to go fishing?" I'm like, "You want to go fishing?" She's like, "No. Do you want to go fishing?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And I so appreciate that, right? And then I go and I would stay out there for 8 hours straight, but then I go for 2 hours, right? And then I come back and right? And so then sometimes, if our 17-year-old daughter, like they want to go shopping or they want to play or they want to watch When Calls the Heart. I don't know if you guys, that's the worst.
Hallmark channel.
Hallmark, the worst, right? Then I'm like, "Hey, let's do, you guys do that." And then, and so I think point being is like we lean into each other. It's not as though that you go into this and you stop all these things, but it's having compassion. It's slowing things down. It's sharing things. And when I know more about where Emily is, where she knows more about where I'm at, that compassion, and then we can actually minister to each other in those spaces, right? It's honestly, it's not about doing less. It's actually about doing more. So hopefully that.
So
yeah.
if you think about like, okay, here's my needs and here's my spouse needs, right? All right, so you think about, okay, if this is the most important and this is nothing, right? That's not gonna work. Like you're never gonna play golf again, you're never gonna, right? And then some other people get it the other way and they put it like this: my needs mean nothing, but my spouse's needs are everything. But that doesn't work either. And what you want is you want it to be, my needs are important and my spouse's needs are important, and this continues to, right? And that's the conversation, it can go up and down. You're not always gonna be first, but you do get a turn at the front of the line, right? You get a turn and then you put somebody else and then you get another turn. And that's where the trust starts, is like, hey, if I tell Shaun like, hey, you should go fishing, like it's been a long week, you should go and do that, right? That I can go ahead and give up that, knowing that doesn't mean he's gonna fish for 3 days without he's not gonna not come back. It just means but he does sometimes fish for 3 days, which is fine. Like it's agreed upon, and it's good for him, but we're gonna switch and we're gonna flip, and sometimes we're gonna do some things that I like, and then sometimes we're gonna do some things that he likes. Sometimes we're gonna do things we both like. You gotta learn how to do that seesaw of that, but that doesn't happen unless you're communicating it.
Yeah.
Gotta communicate it.
They saw early, right, that the percentage, like I didn't realize.
Yeah.
That was a 7, 8 to you. That was.
Right.
Because like, right, if something, like I know thrifting is like up there, like a 9 or a 10 scale, like if I
That is so fun, yeah.
On a beautiful Saturday, like, maybe I checked in some points there.
Right. Yep.
And if it's an ice storm, then I can go fishing. Doesn't count.
Yeah, no. And I think it's careful, and then I'd love to hear, but I think it's careful not to not to begin to get into the quid pro quo approach, right? So I'm doing this, therefore you let me do this, right? And then this for that. That's unhealthy too, right? Because then that becomes, okay, who's keeping the marks? You know, I did that last month, 4 times, and you only did one thing for me once. And I think that discounts and throws out this whole idea of what we're trying, which is compassion, like connection, like looking at each other, not that compromise that we keep saying, which can be a really healthy, good word, until it becomes a quid pro quo approach, and then it's not. So yes, ma'am.
When everybody's commenting, I felt the same way. We're seeing one side of
Yeah.
it, so it's looking like, he's compromising everything
Yeah.
from himself to give her whatever it is she wants. So he's becoming like a pleaser.
Right.
But when you look at it all in totality, like
Yeah.
we're learning,
Yeah.
everybody, each person has needs and requires different things.
Yeah.
And that's where the switching the roles and the open communication comes in. So then you can understand why a person does what they do, and then the other person understands why it triggers them, and vice versa.
Right.
So, and like you said, and that's when you can have healthier, outcomes, because you're constantly switching. You're understanding more than just giving up, like I'm giving up everything and I get nothing in return.
And you're getting understood. Right. When it flips, then you get understood as well. So then it's like, oh yeah, you're attending to my needs also. Yeah.
And I think it goes back to Ephesians 5, right? It goes back to submit to one another out of reverence for the Lord. Submit to, wives submit to, right? So if we were to say that again, I think that's the nature of that. Like, our job is, and we had our old preacher say it this way, I'm going to try to out-doormat you, which a doormat has a very negative connotation, right? I mean, so we don't want to be, walked all over, that type of thing. But if I'm trying to outserve her and she's trying to outserve me, man, what a great combo. Like, no, you. And not in an unhealthy way, but man, really just trying to see her from that perspective, that's different. Yeah. Okay. Yes, sir.
We talked earlier, just last night, when Laura and I left here, we went to dinner, and we were talking about this, and we came with 3 questions. And this happens to be with relationships with your spouse, with Christians, with one another. And the first question was, are my actions reflective of God's word? Second thing is, are my words reflective of God's words? And then the third one is, are my decisions reflective of God's words? So if we can keep those in balance.
Wow. Yeah.
We can help each other out, whether we, with Christians or marriage, parents and children. We keep those 3 things, which was said by Ephesians. If we do that, we're supposed to love our wives, cherish her. The Bible tells us to do that. So that's so important.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm gonna write those down. That was good. Okay, can we take a break? Then we'll come back. We'll watch a little more, talk about the secure connector, and then obviously in between all this, we'd love just more conversation. You guys are awesome, wonderful. So let's take a quick break.